Today we need to wipe the wax off the frame, as well as the fork and the chain guard. We also need to reassemble the front wheel, and then take a look at what parts we have left to clean. That's what's happening on this episode of Featherstone Bicycles. So we'll start with the frame. The last part of the process is wiping off the wax that we put on the other day. And as usual, it's really coming out very nice and shiny. One of the things I want to do now that we've got the wax on and polished it up is look at my two samples of orange tape and compare them probably to both the inside of the fork here that goes inside the head tube, which of course would never be exposed to the sun, and then the outside here. I can see, possibly isn't coming through on the camera, that there's not much fading on the paint. They pretty much are the same color, but it should be hopefully obvious that this orange is much brighter compared to this orange. So we're going to be using this roll to wrap the handlebars. So the first step in the truing process, we've got the wheel on the stand, and we need to get all of the spoke nipples evenly tightened. And the way we do this is we tighten them until the threads on the spoke just disappear. Then you're guaranteed that everything is equal all the way around. Next step in the process is to start tightening the spokes, spoke nipples a little bit at a time all the way around. And the purpose of the truing stand is that these calipers, as they get closer and closer, they're going to start rubbing up against the rim. You can see that we need to do this because just even though tightening the spoke nipples to the point where the spoke threads disappeared, I'm going to spin this and you're going to see how true this wheel isn't. That wouldn't be very good on the bike. So I've now moved the calipers to the point where the rim is just touching on the left side, and what that means is that the spokes that travel out to the left side of the axle hub are too tight and they need to loosen up, and the spokes that travel out on the right side of the axle hub are too loose and they need to be tightened up. Now the other purpose of the truing stand is not just to get the rim centered left and right in terms of the axle, but it's also to get the round of the wheel correct. And we do that also on the truing stand by using the top side of the pinchers, and you'll hear that I'm not touching anything there, and then as I come around I start to touch the thing. So the spokes on this side are too loose, and 180 degrees on the other side, they're too tight. So I will first go to that side and loosen these. And then come back to the other side and tighten them. So then after you've gotten the round figure out, you have to go back and check the left-right orientation. So what we have left, because we're trying to figure out what other kind of trouble we can get into today, is we've got the rear derailleur. Again, this is just a 5-speed, so there's no front derailleur. We've got the kickstand and the assembly, and then we've got the hardware for the front fork. And then, of course, we also have the rear wheel. That's kind of a big project to get into, so I think what we'll do is at least get started on the kickstand, cleaning that up, and then we'll start soaking the hardware for the fork. So the first thing we need to do to take the kickstand assembly apart is get this pin out, which is holding back this retainer ring, which is holding back this spring, which is holding back the ring that the little pin fits into in the frame. So we get it in the vise. Like so. And we put a little force on it. To push the spring back. Hopefully. Now that the tension is off the pin, oh, it's coming out pretty easy. Some of them are in here tight and you got to use the hammer and punch, and some come out that easy. Now, when you're doing this, if you're going to undo the vise, be careful, because this is a lot of tension on the spring, and it's going to want to, like that. So now we've got the pin out. This is the little pin I was saying goes into the frame and stays in that slot that keeps the kickstand in place. And then we've got our retainer ring. We've got our spring. And then this is usually on here a little tight, so we're going to have to punch that down a little. It's kind of clumsy to work with because the kickstand's obviously on an angle. There. A lot of grease on there. to take apart the hardware for the fork. I'm going to lay it out in line, leaving those ball bearing cages in the cups so I can remember the correct orientation of them. And then I'm going to take a picture. So now the only thing left to do is to let that soak overnight or longer. And we'll take the ball bearings out of the cages. Again, let me just count these. There's 15 in each one. I think they're the same size. Let's just check that to see if they both fit in the cups. They're interchangeable. Appear to be so. Some of the front fork hardware, the bearing cages are different sizes. Check out the link in the description for an Army of Normal Folks podcast. Thanks for sticking with me, and I hope to see you next time on Featherstone Bicycles.